with the new features. So that's dope. All right, why I gotta log into my own chat? Your YouTube stream. That's excellent. Bet it is. Let's see here. Again. Okay. Shadow Pit was good. Rick James. Palmetto. Well. I don't want to do passkey stuff right now. Number 7. Good to see you. Ishpo 916, man. It's been hot over here, bro. It's been hot. Detective Trupo 203. What's up? How you guys been, man? It's been a while. Anthony Merkovich, good to see you. What's cracking, Mackin? That's one too many wells. Yeah, D, I'm back. I'm back. Black Wolf Cuddy. I send mines in return. What's up, Ray C? What's up, Ghost Cali? Eastboy, yes, please do hit the like on the way in. If you are watching on your cell phone, you can just tap the screen. Bow. Or double tap, I think. Bow, bow. And then it works. Wayne Martin, good to see you, homie. It has been a while. It's been a while. What's up, Goyle? All kinds of stuff going on. What's up, Snoops? Good to see you, man. Good to see you, homie. You guys check out Snoops 1312. He's been around YouTube for a long time. He took a break for a little bit, though for other reasons. And he comes on and has some good content, man. Some good mature conversations. It's respectable. It's respectable. So I was going to do gracias Jojo AZ, good to see you. I was going to do a video about Larry Hoover, right? But the day kind of got away from me, and I was like, man, by the time I get it recorded and uploaded, it's gonna be like close to 7 o'clock. That's a little too late. I dropped a video later in the day yesterday. Appreciate you guys that checked it out. But 7 o'clock is a little bit too late, right? So I will record it tonight probably, and then just upload it in the morning. I was gonna do it about Larry Hoover. You guys let me know if everything sounds okay. I was gonna do it about Larry Hoover and 1090 Jake calling him a rat based on a newspaper article from 1969, and I think I'll touch on that a little bit. But that's like a whole separate video. I actually have a separate 1090 Jake video that I plan on doing because he's had his covers pulled on a lot of stuff. He is not somebody to be calling somebody else a rat, given the law enforcement operations that he has spearheaded and inspired and contributed to, particularly in the state of Florida. And so there's another guy on YouTube who has been just putting him on blast to the point that now 1090 Jake is doing privacy complaints and trying to get videos taken down and all that shit. So, it's hurting his feelings. And so I'm going to do that. What's up, Nono? Good to see you. Adam and Cecil. Saludos. Josh, been a while, but standing by from Fontana. Hey, salute to Fontana. What's up, Miguel? Good to see you, homie. 88. I said mine's in return. Shout out Woodbridge. I thought it was Rascal. It is Rascal. What's up, Cricket? Good to see you, man. I said mine's. But so whatchamacallit? I'm gonna do just the Larry Hoover video on its own tomorrow morning. Because I feel like it's deserving of its own conversation. And I've seen some of the content around him getting out. But I haven't heard anybody quite address it the way that I would like to address it. Right. So yeah, I'll put that out there. But I don't want to muddy the waters with the whole 1090 Jake bullshit. I'll put him on blast in a separate video. What's your thoughts on the PQ situation? It's a sensitive topic, right? I think where'd the comment go? Oh, there it is. thoughts on the homeboy PQ situation. So, for those that don't know, there's an individual named PQ out of Sacramento who lost his life recently. I think a few days ago, less than a week ago, maybe. Um, it was how can I don't necessarily want to get super into it. I mean, I'm in Sacramento right now, right? So, uh, yeah, I think it's a touchy situation, but essentially, he's a dude who represents Northern California to a degree, and he'd run around trolling people, right? Go to different neighborhoods and post videos and even kind of clowning some people from his own neighborhood sometimes. I didn't really follow his content like that. I also didn't really follow his music. I think I've heard one song that he was on. I don't even think it was his song, but he was on it. Uh, and as somebody rushed his vehicle and lit it up, um, and it was not Southerners, right? But it gets a little tricky because Sacramento street politics are a little bit different. Um, and so yeah, he pissed a lot of people off with what he was doing. Does that mean he had that coming? I don't know. That's not for me to say. Um, I I agree with the sentiment that people shouldn't be online celebrating his death, but I don't think people should be online celebrating anybody's death. It looks particularly goofy though when it's somebody that you would have programmed on the yard with had you guys been in prison together. Um, but I don't know. Um, that's about that's about the most I got to say on that one, Palmetto. But I think you get it. Ole Cricket and Rascal, my two favorite insanely inconsistent content creators. Fair enough. Omar and Naya, good to see you, man. Shout out El Monte. I you fools wear their socks in the shower. Good lord. Isn't there a lot of red on red in Sac Rask? There is, and there's a lot of neighborhoods that have northerners and the brothers, right? And blacks. And so it gets a little tricky because black politics are different, than northern politics. But when you grow up with people and they're your neighbors and they're your friends, and maybe they choose a different banner because of race or whatever other reason, but still the same streets, the same neighborhoods, it gets a little tricky, right? And and so that has complicated things in Sacramento for a very long time. Uh, I think it's less complicated now, but this incident is just um, kind of putting a spotlight on it. But I actually think it's not so bad. What's up? What's up, the devil rascal Cuba homeboy? Hope all's good with you and the familia. I swear, bro, getting on a call with you is like trying to win the lotto, eh? Like I'm a red stepchild. No, bro. My apologies. Hey, Texas Prison Stories. Good looking out, Tim. I appreciate you, homie. Um, no, the devil. I will get at you this week, man. It's there's been a lot going on in life. But I promise it's not for lack of interest in having a conversation. Um, and ain't no issue. In fact, there's some things that I want to talk to you about. But also catch up and share it doing. It'll make more sense when we talk though. Drunken Chef, please remember to hit that like and share this out if you haven't already. Hey, thank you. Good to see you, Drunken Chef. Uh, got you, man. Thanks for the insight. I'm gonna be going up to Stockton this fall. Wish me luck. Hey, Stockton's cool, man. If you, a lot of neighborhoods are safe neighborhoods for strangers to go through because they're not involved, right? Um, if you're in the streets, you know who else is in the streets. You know who's a op. You know who's an ally. Um, I just kind of move around comfortably because I'm not in any of that mix, right? Hmm. What's up, Nick Salas? Ishbo. It's best not to comment on that situation. A lot of family members were affected by that shooting. Yeah, I'm not running no content about it. Um, I've said I've, I've said all I have to say about it. In response to Farmetto's question, but um, it's it's unfortunate. Anytime you have a loss of life, it's unfortunate. What's up, GS? Cortical, unfortunate set of events in Sakura. Been liking the unity musically. Yeah, yeah, and I think the push towards physical fitness, right, is a good one. The push towards a more mature mindset, business oriented, hustle oriented, you know, um, pushing for legislation, going back to school. There's a lot of people that I think are pushing a healthy agenda. Uh, I I'm all for that, and in fact, I'll be highlighting in a video coming up because I have a whole list of stuff to talk about. I'm gonna be highlighting uh, a a channel that I think is doing great stuff right now out of Northern California. Honestly, I only ask because people need to see what a respectable response to that situation is, as opposed to clown ass videos like Reddit. Yeah, I didn't see I didn't see him run a video on it. I didn't see anybody run a video on it. I saw something on IG run by that like crazy hood media, media or whatever. But that was it. Raz, the one you just did a video on is on the Yarda with Sinner, my co-defendant, and a bunch of others I rap to. I hear he's with a few from the north, so he's comfortable. Hold on. The one you just did a video on is on the Yarda with Sinner. Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. We should tap in about that. That's interesting. I don't expect to keep running with that content, but uh I hope Center takes flight. Mm. Yeah, um I just ran that as an update, right? Uh Craig talking about talk. Yeah, it took me a second. I had to think, man, who have I done? But I've only done one video in like the last 3 weeks, so it should have been pretty easy. But uh Josh, do you think they should ban all future sales of AR-15s? It's a hot political topic. I'm a Second Amendment guy. Um, I think that um, due to legislation and whatnot, the Second Amendment has been very much redefined from kind of its original intent. But that is where we've gone as a country, and I accept that. I'm not against it. Um, and so no, I think in what we understand the Second Amendment to be in modern times, uh, I don't. I think it gets tricky to ban any guns, right? Um, and so if you say everybody got a right to be strapped, then everybody got a right to be strapped. Uh, Salutations, peace, and good tidings to everyone. Hey, gracias, Tejas. I appreciate it. Since I've been family in San Bernardino, yeah, a failed desert city, but they got baddies. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't think. See, that's where it gets tricky. I don't think AR-15s. I do think we have too many guns, but it becomes a slippery slope, right? They're already out there. There's probably close to millions of them. Um, Again, do I think that's consistent with the framing of the Second Amendment, no, absolutely not. But I don't think much of our gun laws are consistent with that. But you're not gonna get the toothpaste back in the tube at this point, you know. And so we have decided as a country that um, we're cool with everybody being strapped, and so I don't think you can pick certain guns and say, "Oh no, this," that's the '80s. You know what I mean? That's the '80s conversation. Do I think some guns don't have a real logical use besides killing people? Sure, right. But again, as a country, we've kind of decided that we're okay with that. So who am I to argue? Um, Cain killed Abel with a stone. He did. He did. Um, it's. I think we should be able to have bazookas. What's up, Big Gibbs? Yeah. I mean, we have a very gun centric culture. That is unique in the global sense. I don't think we could really get away from that. But again, we have decided that's what we want, right? And so with that, you're going to get mass shootings and random violence, and the random violence is going to be a lot deadlier because you can kill a lot of people faster with guns than you can with a knife. And I think as a country, we've just come to accept that we're okay with that, right? We're okay with the school shootings and the mass shootings, um and that's just kind of part of being an American. I think it's unfortunate, but it, it's not going to change. Um, and singling out a particular firearm is not going to change the culture in the country. Um, so I'm stealing that quote and taking full credit for it. Go for it. Uh, Black Panthers had the right to bear arms taken away from them by Reagan conservatives. They absolutely did. Sing, good to see you. That is why you cannot walk down the street with a rifle in California the way that you can in Nevada. Is because it wasn't against the law. So the Black Panthers started standing outside with rifles, monitoring the police, and then they went to Sacramento and when Reagan was governor and stood outside and he looked outside and seen a bunch of predominantly black people with afros and leather jackets holding shotguns and was like, "Hey, stop this shit." And they're like, "Hey, it's legal. Well, make it illegal." So they did. And they're in the start of gun control in California. Um, and so it, you know, it's that's that's politics though, right? Is you can have political parties that don't want government interference unless it is necessary to support their cultural values, right? Um, and then you have other parts of government that insist on government interference to the point that the individual doesn't have any rights. And I think most Americans are somewhere in the middle of that, but most Americans don't vote, right? So we really don't know. It's a small fraction that actually go through the voting process, and I think that's intentional. I've talked about it a bunch of times before. I think it's intentional. It is because an educated public um, ain't gonna put up with the shit that's going on around here. But most educated people understand that our elections are bought and paid for by the wealthy, and so you're not even given reasonable options. There's not even good candidates being put forward, and so they just sort of check out of the process, and we're so overworked and burdened um, that people just focus on that, right? Now, how do I pay my bills and raise my family? I am going to put you in timeout for 30 minutes. If you say anything in support of SPM on his channel or anybody else who is a PDF, the nicest thing I'll do is put you in timeout for a while so you can think about it. Let me rewind in these comments a little bit. I'm getting behind. It's been a while. What's up, Triple P? Good to see you. The stats are small for the amount of guns that are actually in the country. They are 2A, Dave. It's tricky though because you have individuals that have a shit ton of guns, right? So it's kind of skewed. But yes, I mean there's more guns than there are people. So that's girls from UC Riverside. The devil, I don't know what you're talking about. With all due respect, I'm from San Diego, but like I said, my boy, I'm not going up there to bang laugh a lot. I'm 32, just got out. I'm good. Just gonna check it out. You'll enjoy it, man. Have you watched any Dean Withers debates? Laugh out loud. I have not. I'm happy you're live. It's been a cool minute. Yeah, thank you, Big Gibbs. It has. What's up, Randy G? I hope you're doing well. Salute to you and young Hitler. The good shepherd. I think mental health is a bigger issue than the guns. I agree. If we could get a handle on the mental health, then the guns wouldn't be such a challenge. I think the two things play off of each other, though, right? Yes, R.I.P. Iron Bear. I've left a couple comments. So Iron Bear sat down with me a couple years ago, and a few years ago maybe, and he was like, "Man, a lot of people wanted me to come on and do an interview or tell my story or whatever, but he goes, I haven't really done it, but I'd like to do it on your channel." And I was like, "Bet." So we started recording, and I think I still have those recordings in the vault somewhere. And he started sharing his life story. It's not complete. We didn't finish it for whatever reason. I think he had some health issues, and one thing led to another, and we just really weren't in touch a whole lot, lately, over the past couple years, really. And probably having something to do with kind of YouTube beefs and he was a big fan of a channel in particular that I'm not a big fan of, which is okay. I to each their own. I had a lot of respect for Iron Bear, and he shared a lot about his life and about his story. And so I think I'm gonna look and see if I have those in the vault, and I'm really considering trying to put it together in some type of a tribute, maybe, or just to give folks a better idea of who he is. Maybe for some of his loved ones or some of the folks that followed him on here and don't really know a lot of his story, give him a little bit more insight into who he was. He had a good heart, man, best as I could tell in all my conversations with him. He had a good heart and was a cool dude, and went through a lot in life. Man, he went through a lot. Disenfranchised people become revolutionary. That's the hope. That's the hope. Most of my homies' family are all originally from down south. Only kids and young-minded cats be up here tripping on that nonsense. Welcome and enjoy your visit. Very well said, Ishbo. Very, very well said. He said, fry South Park Mexican. Facts. Damn, how far behind did I get? Hey, what's up, Mike Bristol? I appreciate you. Thank you, homie. Yeah, I seen that, Gibbs. I appreciate you. Damn, we sound like the parents of the 90s saying we shouldn't hear bad words next to music. No death in video games, really? See, I don't think violent video games, and I know we're just, it's just conversation, right? But I don't think the violent video games is a factor. China and Japan and have much more violent video games, and it's much more normalized as a culture over there than it has been over here, and yet they don't have the same issues with random violence, right? So I don't think you could put your finger on any one thing. I think it's a combination of things, right? It's lack of mental health services, just the corrupt nature of healthcare in this country in general, the kind of cowboy attitude, right? The pull yourself up by the bootstrap, the bandit type of attitude and lawlessness, right? Like supposed to be kind of organized chaos. But that kind of independence, can't nobody tell me what to do, don't tread on me idea. The racism and classism in the country. Um, the otherism, really, because it comes from all different directions, and racism is an overly used term, I think. But the we're a huge country, and we have very different environments within our country, very different cultures, very different atmospheres, and they don't all mix very well. And a lot of people don't experience diversity. Um, and so then that leads you to view people suspicious, right? And uh, we have a news media that's really kind of a propaganda entertainment profiteering machine at more so than it is educate and inform people. Um, it's more, you know, terrorize and create hysterics, right? So that people will tune in next week to see what's next, and it's just a mess, you know. So I think it's a lot of that stuff all put together, and this you can't just put your finger on one thing or fix one thing. Hey, Fishler, I appreciate you, bro. Wait, hold on, we got the Fishler making it rain. Uh, it's most of these guys' whole life before mass shootings to it. Eastport, that's right, my boy. I appreciate G. I'm gonna go see what all the fuss is about. Coming up on a year, bro, cancer free. Got my walk this weekend. That's dope, Randy G. I'm happy for you. I really am. The redwoods are beautiful, long scenic drive. Definitely worth seeing. Yeah, you can. You can drive through a tree. That's dope. Um, 2A, what trips me out is Gen X and millennials complain about Gen X, but they're the ones that raised them. Uh, yeah, I feel like cell phones are raising too many kids today. But which channel? Rascal said, yeah, I see you. I see you. Uh, uh, mm, Second Amendment for real doesn't help the video. Yeah. What's up, CEO of Annoying Cholos? RIP to Iron Bear for sure. It's a mental illness issue when it comes to majority mass shootings. There's also the religious aspect and terrorist part of it. I agree. 2A Dave. It really is. And I think the internet has made it worse, right? The internet has made it worse because you got a lot of lonely people. Man, you got a lot of isolated, lonely people that are vulnerable. They want to be important. They get in these chat rooms and they get in these social media sites and they fall down these fucking rabbit holes and nobody sees it, right? Or very few people see it. And they become relevant and they really just get swept up in this nonsense, right? I mean, you had a dude go bring a gun to a fucking pizza place in Washington, D.C. because they really thought that they were eating kids in the back. Like, it's it spirals too far. And it's unfortunate, right? And so I think that's a big part of it. And you have bullying and kids and there's an entitlement, that some people have. Like, uh, yeah, I think there's a lot of layers to it. Definitely a lot of layers. What's good, Stack Life? Good to see you, man. Shout out Hayward. China only allows kids to play video games about an hour a day. Yeah, I think the people with the biggest restrictions on social media and devices and that kind of stuff in this country are the people who work for the companies that put it out there, right? Zuckerberg has said that he wouldn't allow his kids to have Facebook. You know, Mm. Those who know how this social media game works protect their kids from exposure to it. Meanwhile, they market it to our, us and our kids. Um, Healthcare in Canada is no better, even though it's funded with taxpayer dollars. Okay, yeah, I don't know too much about it. What's up, Spider? Good to see you. What about the Molotov cocktail guy? Yeah, that dude was, and he plotted that for a while. where he said, "Man, I'm waiting for my daughter to graduate." I think he was waiting for her to graduate high school or college before he snapped, because he didn't want to interrupt her academics and so I'm saying, man, it's a lot of mental health stuff. People go down these rabbit holes, and what's sad is a lot of those rabbit holes start with mainstream quote unquote voices. And it's not that the mainstream people are promoting that shit, but that's the gateway. And then folks get all riled up and they're looking for other people who are all riled up. And they find them. And there's money in that. There's profit in that. And I wish that there was a way for us to cut that off, to to cut off those pipelines. But then you have free speech, and so there's a tension there. There's a tension. Um, Fatherless children problem. That's another issue. Sure, that's another issue. Um, and just overworked families, right? Families that need to work, 80 hours a week to provide the basics for their kids and some after school programs, and so they're not paying so much attention, right? There's not an adult in the home, even if there's two parents there. Um, Again, it's peeling an onion, right? There's so many layers to all this stuff. And it's not a one size fits all. If it was, I think we could have solved it already, right? What's up, Joseph G? Good to see you, man. Shout out Venice. Bird, good to see you, homie. Bill, my wife, 23 years, son leaving to the army in 3 weeks. Daughter just completed her first year at University of Riverside. Shout out University of Riverside. And shout out the service too. Uh, your shout out your son leaving to the army in 3 weeks. That's dope. I hope you remain safe. What's up, Tegato? Good to see you. Joseph G in the building. Chrissy Mendez, good to see you. What's up, bro? Glad to see you back. Hey, gracias, Sam. I appreciate you. Saying 310 in the building. Be right back. Okay. There we go. I caught up in the comments. So, what, it's interesting, man, because I come on the lives and the conversation can go in all kinds of different directions. And a lot of times, depending on kind of who's in the chat and how the conversation starts, we can wind up getting into politics or religion or different kind of legal cases. And I love it, right? I'm thankful for it. It's part of what I enjoy about the community that we've built here, right? And continue to build. But it's interesting because if I do standalone videos about this kind of stuff, nobody watches. Um, I did a constitutional law class basically in the Second Amendment and all the recent Supreme Court stuff over the last couple years and the potential for felons to get their firearms back in certain states and really broke it down, had PowerPoints, right? Like I don't want to say dumbed it down because I'm not trying to demean anybody, right? Like folks are dumb, but just an expression of simplified the conversation, right? It wasn't a bunch of legalese and technical talk and whatnot. Hardly any views. Hardly any views. It's interesting because there's a contingent of people who like that conversation, um, and I would love to do more videos like that. And I still do sometimes, and I always will continue to throw in videos about topics that I find interesting, and that I think have value to them, even if it's not going to get 10,000 views. Uh, but at the same time, I, if I do all videos like that, then the channel dies, right? To be real, YouTube's gonna turn around and be like, man, people don't want to watch the content you're putting out there, so we're not gonna promote your content anymore. And that's just sort of how it goes, right? So, all right, Eastpo, good to see you, man. I gotta pull out the iPhone so I can get that list of events because I still want to tap in with you. I'm out here a lot. I'm back and forth between Sacramento and Reno, but I'm out here a lot, at least every other weekend, and I love to touch base with you, man. So yeah, it's just a trip, you know. It's just a trip. What's up, Luke? Good to see you. Best thing that's happened on here recently is Splinter opening up about relapsing and being vulnerable about seeking help. Respectable. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do, brother, I do. I got your number. It's also I noticed that Splinter said in a recent video that he was kind of out of touch with what the end of hostilities was and everything else. He thought it only applied to certain groups of people and but he acknowledged that and was like, "Hey, I had to get put up on game, man, and apparently things have changed more than I realized." He extended the olive branch, uh, and we're cool. I don't got no issue with him. I never did. Uh, didn't necessarily appreciate his take on my content once upon a time. But everybody's entitled to it. Uh, King Kong, I've been shooting dope, coke, and drinking all over room. And brother, that's not that's not healthy. Obviously, tap in with me, man. I if I remember right, you had gotten into school and things were looking up for you. And if it's the relationship I'm thinking of, I remember when you felt like there was a lot of promise to it. At the end of the day, you got to be accountable to yourself. You know what I mean? If other people in life come along and compliment what you got going on, that's a beautiful thing. Um, but and I know it's easier said than done, but try not to lose yourself for the sake of others because you do a disservice to the people who love and care about you, right? And you're not winning anything. You're not proving anything to the female. You know what I'm saying? They're gone, right? I went through something not quite to that degree and in those particulars, but I did the whole self sabotage to prove a point thing, and it didn't prove anything. If anything, it made my life more difficult, and I had to rewind on some stuff and put pieces back together. Um, but and you know this stuff, man. You're smart. You've been through this before. Um, you know how it goes, and I respect the fact that you even put it out there, right? That you're lending voice to it. I think that's important. So props to you for that, and I am certain that you can get back on track. Um, you know how to do it, and if there's anything I could do to help, encourage or support that, man, let me know, and I'll do my best. 442 Tony, good to see you. Good to see you. Bro, yeah, I make my own decisions. Can't blame anyone. But yeah, I got out 2 years ago. Had a 1 year clean. I was going to the gym, finished the computer course. As long as you're alive, you got a choice. And as long as you're alive, it's never too late. That's what I hold on to. Um, Sometimes it feels like that's all I got to hold on to. But that's what I hold on to is I got options. You know. Uh, how's the weather out there, bro? 61 tornadoes in the month of May. The yearly average is 59. That's crazy. It was like up over 100 earlier. Earlier this week. It's been hot. It's a trip. I've been in Nevada long enough that now coming back to California, spending more time here, and as the summer's really getting going, uh, it was real humid, right? It felt real humid when I came here because there's such dry heat in Nevada. I got out the car, I was sweating it. It almost felt like going to Florida, like that type of transition. And so yeah, it's been hot though. It's been hot. What's up, Matt Kenny? Good to see you. Mm. Small dog King Kong went on a field trip with my granddaughter to school today. That's dope. What up, Tipsy? Good to see you. Looking young, hey man. Sometimes. It's frustrating, man. Unfortunately, people don't want to watch it. They're more worried about lefty gunplay, who's beefing with who. It's ridiculous, man. Yeah, the Supreme Court's lack of cases on the Second Amendment shows they treat it like a second-class right. The only right that states shall not be infringed. It gets me upset how people don't speak on our rights. Yeah, yeah, they're moving. They're opening up the doors. It's a process, but they're definitely opening up the doors to. Uh, it's too deep for the distracted. Yeah, and I'll touch on some of the cheeseman type stuff. I'm gonna do a video about the whole Lil Toro and Swifty Blue thing. And that's just more to try to get Swifty's attention and let him know that that's probably not a great look. And yeah, I feel almost obligated to, right, given the content that I've done about Toro before. I feel like it's kind of my responsibility. I really try not to make content about that dude very often because I'm not trying to give him attention. Um, but he's catting off to the umpteenth degree now in some of the stuff that he's doing, and but that's why I was gonna go with the Larry Hoover video today, but I lost a little bit of time. I don't want to do the cheeseman stuff back to back to back like that. And when I do it, I try at least to offer a little bit of a different perspective. Try to find a way to make it informative or entertaining or something, but there's some other content creators that I don't really see get talked about in this genre because they're not really in this genre, but they're they're doing some great content. And so normally when I do that kind of stuff, it doesn't get a lot of views, but I don't know, man. I like to spotlight some of the folks that I've been watching lately, um, and kind of see where that goes. Um, uh, King Kong, here's some wise words spoken by a philosopher in the 1900s. Fuck bitches, get money. Rip the band-aid off. Yeah, yeah. Larry Hoover is a crazy topic. It is, man. I'm glad that his sentence was commuted. I would like to see him freed. I'm curious, and I'll touch on this in my video. First of all, the case that he originally went to prison for in Chicago, his 200, the sentence he's doing now, right? What's up, Vic Chavez? Um, yeah, Chrissy, I don't see the super chat, but if it does come through, I will let you know, and I will make it rain. Oh, I think actually somebody else. Let me go back because I don't think I made it rain for San Bermudez. My apologies. But I appreciate you. Uh, what's up, Anthony M? Good to see you as well. I don't want to get too into it here because I want people to watch the video, right? But the guy who shot the individual, right? Because two people were convicted of killing that guy. Oh, there you go, Christian Mendez. It came through now. There we go. So we'll pause this and then start it up again. I appreciate you. Thank you. Um, the shooter in that situation got out after like 20 years, right? And yes, there's no denying that Hoover ran a criminal enterprise for a period of time, and obviously the GD are a factor, right? But it's a different era now, and the dude's been down 50 some years. Um, I think there's a level of sincerity to what he's been saying, and the whole growth and development thing was some of that kind of semantic, right? And trying to put the best foot forward so in the hopes that he can get a release date. I'm sure. But does that mean that he hasn't settled into that over the course of the last handful of decades? Not necessarily. He's 70 something years old, right? It's for what he's been convicted of. Um, I think he has more than done his time, and I'm curious to see if he's able to have a positive impact on violence in Chicago. Um, I don't think he can wave a magic wand, right? I just think youngsters are a little too off the hook for that. Uh, I'm not well versed on the culture of Chicago. I've been out there. I've talked to some GDs out there. Uh, so I have a minimal familiarity, right? I know more than somebody who's never been out there, but I don't know much. Uh, I'm a West Coast guy. I'm a California guy. Uh, I know out here, a lot of these youngsters ain't trying to listen to nobody getting out of prison. Unless they like what they're talking about, basically. The deference that existed when I was younger, right? Where somebody comes home from prison, that's the big homie, and you're gonna mind them because they earned that. These young folks don't feel the same, right? It's like, hey, fool, you ain't been out here on the block with me. I don't even know who you are. You've been in prison longer than I've been alive. Get with the program or fuck off, right? It's kind of their attitude, and my guess is it's something similar in Chicago, but maybe not. And the feds work different in the 70s and the 80s, and so I don't know. I like I said, I'll explore it in a video. I don't have answers, of course, but that's what I'll be exploring in my video, and that's why I don't want to muddy it up with the bullshit 1090 Jake stuff. I'll make that a separate video. Um, I will make that a separate one. Uh, you're the voice of reason, of normality, all without prejudice and with a lot of heart. I appreciate that, Vic. That's a high standard, but uh, I I kind of do my best. Sess, what is your thoughts on the kids from Shaq that got shot in the head? Shaq politics is crazy. Shaq politics are crazy, and I don't have a lot really to say about that. It's unfortunate. Loss of life is unfortunate. Uh, it as I said before, I don't. To me, it seems weird, and this isn't specific to any group segment, but I'll just say in general, it seems weird to go online and celebrate or mock or belittle the death of somebody who, if you were in prison, you guys would be functioning on the same side of the yard, eating out of the same bowl. I just don't think that makes a lot of sense for anybody, right? Uh, it's times are different. The internet makes things different. Social media makes stuff different, and I will say in general, you see some people in Southern California do stuff, and I'm not talking about just Southsiders. I just mean in general. It There seems to be a trend that in Southern California, and I think they picked it up from like the Chicago cats and the drill rap scene, but of like riding through your opposite's hood and filming it and that kind of stuff, and okay, I mean to each their own. I can't relate to it. I don't think it's particularly respectable, but I'm not a teenager in the streets either, so I don't think people really care. Teenagers don't care what I think of what they're doing, but those are my thoughts on it. That's not something you see a lot of in Northern California, but social media makes the world a smaller place. And you start to see these pages that are popping from doing stuff like that. And why not look at it and feel like, hey, man, I could do the same thing, you know, um, without fully embracing or understanding the consequences of all of that. I don't know. It's an unfortunate situation, though. Um, my prayers go out to those who've been negatively impacted by that. Um, But I won't be doing a video or anything about that. Um, no, Miss Seniority says, no, no, I get you. When I was heartbroken, I crashed out on the streets. This can be a good time to get to know yourself again. What about shrooms? Antonio Diaz, there is some real mental health and medicinal value to psychedelics, man, if taken responsibly. Um, the natives have known that for thousands of years, right? Um, uh, uh, nah, you don't want to go to prison. You never know how that plays out. Multitasking, phone banking at work now. Anyways, hope you had a very nice work tonight. Prison isn't the place to be. It's not. It's not. What's up, Omar Diaz? Good to see you. What was it? How did they convince us to be ready to die for nothing? I can't imagine convincing a single young man in 2025 to raise his hand on the strength of nothing more. Did we all just love Jolas that much? Uh, the the desire to please women and be attracted to women has led many a young men and older ones to do some pretty thoughtless things. And to dress in some pretty stupid ways, if you ask me. But again, I'm not a young person, so I don't think they care what I think of how they dress. I didn't care what folks thought of how I dressed when I was a kid. So I think we've all been there. You may not believe me, but time heals. It does. Right now it hurts and it's change, and change is hard. Be strong, do good, and that's the best revenge. Well said. Uh, well said, Skylar. I like that. Let me see. I do once a year for a reset. There we go. We were off the porch at 11 and 12. Yes, that's facts. Facts. Um, Nothing can hurt like a woman, in my opinion. Yeah, that can be true. Um, I would argue, though, not argue, but I would suggest that, the healing is all on you, right? And so if you look at it that way, pretty easy to heal from, you know, um, it's all within your control. Uh, and the thing is, cutting, you got to cut ties, man. If it's toxic, it's toxic. It's not going to become healthy, you know. And clearly, it's toxic for you because look at the relapse, look at the behavior. So what could be is kind of out the window at this point. You got to deal with what is, and what is you're fucking up, and so uh, you got to fix that. You know what I'm saying? You got to fix that. But again, I have no doubt that you will. You're more than capable of it. And you know how to get clean. You know how to be clean. You know how to do this. Um, you just gotta want to do it more than you want to try to force a square peg into a round hole, which is what it sounds like a relationship with this woman would be. Um, what's up, Loud Room? Good to see you, Rascal. Do you think YouTube is to blame for Almighty Suspect going PC? Also, I've seen a little bit of the Almighty Suspect stuff, but honestly, not much. Uh, I saw something about him supposedly pulling a weapon on some dude that supposedly was kind of had a battery put in his back to go do that. Poetic Flacco's buddy. I really don't understand the success of Poetic Flacco in social media. He kind of came on the scene out of nowhere, just instigating stuff and creating a mess for people and and playing racial tensions and feeding into stuff that he didn't even comprehend just for clicks and views. Um, and then now mocking a culture that that he's not really tied to, but kind of fantasizes about it while also demeaning it. Like, I don't, that dude's just a mess. To me, he's the epitome of what makes no jumper toxic, right? But so I guess he got somebody all wound up to go on there and taunt Almighty Suspect, and Almighty Suspect took the bait. If it's even real, half that shit skits and it's all make believe. So that's why I don't pay a whole lot of attention, because it's hard to even know what is honest and what isn't. Uh, but I don't know about the whole him going PC part. If you don't mind, it don't matter, huh? Uh, Bipolar mom and criminologist. Salute. Salute. That's a heck of a combination. Why can't this woman just be honest and committed like I am? I can give 100% and she can't. Damn, man, how the fuck I get here? So here's the thing, though. You can't answer those questions for her. And you're so committed that you're sticking a needle in your arm. That's too committed. That's committed to her, but that's not committed to yourself. Right? And you got to be committed to yourself first and foremost. And I'm saying it bluntly, but I hope you also know that I'm saying it with respect. But it is what it is. Be committed to you, right? And you'll find somebody that will do that also. Shit gets old when you catch yourself doing shit you did as a kid and you realize you need that growth. Yeah. And we're all vulnerable. We're all vulnerable to stumble, right? And we can all play the role of Linus and go pick up that crusty blanket in the corner at times. Nobody's immune from it, right? But the trick is to recognize it and to make adjustments, and I think it's definitely time to make adjustments. Let me see. Try to catch back up in these. Tyson was my childhood buddy's dad's friend. He used to come to their house in Rosemead, then go to Beverly Hills or Vegas together. My buddy's pops had the first car stereo. So that's dope, Joseph G. See, man, you never know who comes in the comments and what their story is, right? Worse when you see homies in their 40s with a team mindset. Man, facts. What's up, Laura? What's up, Rob? Good to see you, man. Prayers for you and your health, man. I appreciate you. I gotta do some catching up on your content, but yeah, I'm eager to see how things go for you in about 10 days or so, man. You're definitely in my prayers. Is there a big difference between Bay Area and Central Valley in terms of politics? Could you tell the difference while locked up? Anthony M. Do you mean like government politics or prison politics? I couldn't tell a difference in government politics when we were locked up. You can out here on the streets, though. Absolutely, there's a difference. In terms of prison politics, a little bit, but also depends on where in the Central Valley. You have some people from the Bay Area that a little bit too independent of thinkers, a little bit too ego driven, a little bit too hood, as opposed to barrio, right? And that can present problems for them in prison. And you got people like that in Central Valley too. It's just I don't think it's quite as common, but it depends on from where. Let's see. King Kong, don't disrespect yourself. That's facts. What up, Diamond Street? Good to see you. Did my community service last Vista at Hermoso Park. That's right. Snoops is from Southern California. The devil, yeah. What's up, Iron Fisted Cuffs? Good to see you. Diamond Street locals in the building. Angel Sarabia. Sylvia Presente. Yeah. Yeah, long live Sylvia, man. That's a story to be told too. Her story deserves to be told. We were talking earlier about mental health, and man, um, I was a dope woman, man. She left a legacy for sure. She left a legacy. Um, she was a student at UC Berkeley, um, in the social welfare program, social work program, um, and she was working at a home, um, like group home type environment, um, and tragically lost her life at the hands of a young man who was housed there. Who, from what I recall, um, she had said like this dude needs a higher level of care than what we're capable of providing here. No, Antonio Diaz, I don't. Um, that dude, he needs a higher level of care than what they can do in this space, and and they still kept him there, and he um, wound up taking her life. A tragic story, but there's a uh, there's a scholarship now in her name for formerly incarcerated and system impacted students going through the social welfare program. Um, but yeah, I think we've connected offline before about that topic, and I'm happy to do it. I just really wanna make sure that I'm respectful um and so yeah, we can. I'd be happy to do it though. I'd be happy to do it. I just I met her a few times. I was in underground scholars, with her at the same time, and so she's a little further along in her education. And I was in the sociology program. She was in obviously the social work program, and we crossed paths, of course, because all underground scholars at that time we were a pretty close knit group. But she definitely gravitated more towards the social welfare program, and she gravitated more towards the women, formerly incarcerated women, and she was an incredible mentor and inspiration to them. Um, so they had closer relationships with her than than I did. But yeah, I'd love to. I'd be down for that. Um, what's up, what up, winner? Good to see you. Glad to say you make content 2 days in a row. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I was uh, I was gonna do the video today, and it got too late in the day, and I figured, you know what? Let me stick to my commitment of doing content every day, and the easiest way to do that was to just go live, right? A rat is a rat, no matter where you are. That's facts. That's facts. Let me see. I told the people in Arizona William was all bad. Yeah, well, somebody got the message. I think William's trying to get back. As I said in my video, I think he's just trying to get back to CDCR. I don't know that that's the wisest choice, but I mean, to each their own. Uh, I think it's all I think it's all a play, and to each their own, right? Uh, yeah, hit me on IG. Hit me on IG. I'll be honest, realistically, I'll probably circle back with you a little bit later in the week. I've got some catching up to do. Um, I yeah, I got some catching up to do on emails and DMs, and the immigration work is picking back up. And so that's good, right? I enjoy doing it, and it brings me a couple dollars, on the side, and so. But I got to kind of prioritize that when it comes up because people have current immigration cases. But I'll definitely keep an eye out, and we'll figure out a way to talk and how to put that together. But I'd be honored, honestly, to do that. Solo for Christ Ministry, blessings of Christ Jesus. Likewise, brother, thank you, and I appreciate that. Um, Roscoe always got feed me vibes and peeps around. I try, man. It's really courtesy to you guys, right? Uh, Courtesy to you guys. I appreciate this community. um, and what you guys bring to the table. When we playing some music late night again, I got them DJ skills. One of these days, man. One of these days, my life looks a little bit different now. You know, um, I I have my kids more often. I'm back and forth and try to try to get some sleep. I got my own health stuff, and when I am up late, it's normally me and my lady hanging out, and doing stuff. And so um, one of these days it'll happen, right? One of these days it'll happen. Um, Échale ganas, compa. Tienes muchas oportunidades enfrente de usted. Aprovechlas. God bless you all. Without names and locations, can you touch on your immigration cases? If not, it's good. I understand. Um, these cases are just around tattoos, and so people when they're going through immigration proceedings, a lot of times it's to their benefit um, to hey, gracias. A lot of times it's to their benefit to have a report from an expert, right? Which I qualify as um, to point out how their tattoos are not gang related. Um, there's different ways to go through the immigration process. Sometimes you go before the judge in a hearing. Other times you just go before kind of like a what is it called, the um consulate. The It's like a doctor at a consulate. So like people, for example, in Mexico will have to go back to Mexico, and kind of the last step in their process is uh a review, which includes a medical review, which includes a review of their physical person and their tattoos. Um, and and they have a binder. The consulate ones are particularly kind of goofy sometimes because they just have a binder, and so they look through the binder and see if there's any tattoos in that binder and with gang descriptions that match tattoos you may have on your body. But it gets as petty as Old English letters and smile now, cry later faces are indicative of Hispanic gang culture, for example. Um, and so, like, I have somebody who's he has his daughter's names tattooed on him in Old English, and so it seems silly, but basically just have to say, hey, look, as somebody who's court certified as a gang expert, no, these are just the names of his kids, and they're not gang related, even though they're in Old English. Um, Other times they other times they have more meaning to them, right? Or they're artistic or whatever, and so that's what I'm doing lately is tattoo stuff. Uh, Let me see. Um, hmm. the devil, that might come up at some point, and I'd appreciate that. Yeah, I'll tap in with you. All right, Rob, you have a good one, man. Blessings to you. To be continued on that. Josh, for the sake of the last convo on the other page the other day, I'm on a line right now, and that story described was false. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I'm wondering about the story in terms of the story about what happened in that house on the street, involving Victor, or the story of the the poor choice of words used on the unit the day prior. Um, but maybe that's a conversation we can kind of pick up offline. So I said I'd be on here for an hour. It's been an hour and 9 minutes. I appreciate you guys. I gotta I gotta go put this grill together. Just got a George Foreman and with a stand up kind for outside, and so I think we're gonna grill something to eat. What's up, Eyes Never Lie? Good to see you. I gotta get some food and get a little bit of internet stuff done, man, and I'm gonna record something to upload earlier tomorrow in the day. So I'll try to knock out 2 videos tomorrow, but tonight I'll record something and figure I'll set it to air probably around, I don't know, you guys think like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning or so. And that'll be on the that will be on Larry Hoover, right? And that whole situation. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I'm working my way back into YouTube mode, right? And so bear with me. Appreciate your patience. Help others move in excellence. That's what homies do. Help yourself at the same time because you're worth it. Help your community because they need you. And stay tuned, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Hey, good to see you, Spanx. Dia, it'll stay up, man. You can catch the replay. But I